Morning, everyone. Welcome to the party for growth, gains, and good news. And we're all glad you're here. My name is Gary Anderson. I'm chairman of the board of Williamson County Schools. And I thought I'd talk just real briefly about the first thing, growth. Back when I ran for school board, and no, it wasn't 1900, people. I know Photoshop does some wonderful things, but it wasn't 1900. We have grown, since I've been on the school board, over 30,000 additional students. And I've been on the board, all right, it's my 28th year. All right, so it means we've grown over 1,000 students every year in Williamson County, which really speaks to the success of our district. Back when I ran for the school board, I ran because we did not have art and music teachers in our school system for elementary. I couldn't believe that. We didn't have those. So I got involved. I went and taught kids how to play the recorder. We put on a concert, and I just started getting involved with schools by volunteering my time being in there and teaching kids something I knew about music. Well, today, fast forward 28 years, and the board has adopted success for students in academics, the arts, and athletics. And I think we've done a great job in doing that with the support of our superintendent, our staff, our students, our community. It's been really, really good. Now, there's something that I always say is a blending of a community and what makes schools successful. And Commissioner McQueen, I'm going to say you guys stole something from me. You know, RTI and RTI squared, you know, you turned that into something really good for the State Department to present. But I had another term, something you stole from me. I have ROI and ROI squared. ROI in the business world is return on investment, and in education it's return on instruction. And what I always preach is let's bring and blend together. I practice this now. Blend together. You don't want to do that? You don't want to go ahead and join your hands like that? Do you know how silly you look now? Joining the business world in with the academic and education world. I had a county official 20 plus years ago say to me that education and schools are nothing but a bottomless pit. And I thought, wow, that's what they think about us, that we're nothing more? And then when you think, well, we've grown 30,000 kids, we've built all these schools, we do need money. But if we have the return on instruction and return on investment, then we are successful. And folks, Williamson County Schools has been, if not the most successful, one of the most successful districts in the state of Tennessee, if not the United States. And I'm very proud of that. When I moved to Williamson County, it was to take my kids to elementary school. I think most people who move to Williamson County do that. Back then, we had a really good district. Well, we've taken it from good to great to a world-class school system. And for that, I am very thankful that we were able to do that. Through the growth, we have been able to maintain our excellence. And we have done it because of people like this in this room today, people who have invested their time, money, effort, energies into making our district great. We have a tremendous administrative team, teachers, community, parents, students, and that has really helped us become as good of a district as we are. Now, Dr. Looney is holding this party today to talk about growth, gains, and good news. But it's been said that superintendents, directors of schools have to be crazy to want this job. Now, I am not going to say Dr. Looney is crazy, okay? That wouldn't be right of me to do that, right? You don't want to practice putting your hands together again like that? But let me just tell you what he does for fun. He jumps out of perfectly good airplanes just for fun from thousands of feet up. So Dr. Looney, I don't know if that classifies you as being crazy or not, but we are very thankful that you are here and leading Williamson County Schools. So without further ado, I know you didn't come here to hear me. It's Dr. Mike Looney, Director of Schools.
Wow. Thank you so much for being here. This is beginning to be an annual affair where we get to talk about the things that are happening in Williamson County Schools, and I really am humbled by your presence today. So I want to recognize a few folks to start with, and first I want to start with our Commissioner of Education, Dr. Candace McQueen. Dr. McQueen, if you'll stand and be recognized. I really do appreciate her leadership, and she's going to be going to Fairview High School today to do some inspections of her expectations and celebrating some other things as well. So thank you for being in our district. I'd also like to recognize the fact that we have several school board members here. Obviously, Chairman Anderson is here. We also have Mrs. Candy Emerson here. Sheila is here. Thank you so much, Sheila, for being here. Dan is here, and Rick is here. And who am I missing? Is anybody else in the room? Okay. Would y'all stand to be recognized, please? And I don't know if I should have used last names, but obviously Sheila Cleveland, Dan Cash, and Rick Wimberly. We also have several county commissioners here. I see Commissioner Sturgeon is in the room. So Commissioner Sturgeon, if you'll stand to be recognized. Former school board member, now Commissioner Bobby Hullett. Any other commissioners in the room? Dana Osbrooks. Oh, Dana. I consider you staff now, so Dana Osbrooks. We have a couple of mayors here. If you all please stand to be recognized. Thank you so much for being here. Representing Fairview and City of Brentwood. And my dear friend, Sheriff Jeff Long, and his able staff. So Jeff, if you'll stand to be recognized. Am I missing any other elected officials or appointed officials? Should I get you to stand? If I have, I apologize. So today's title of our presentation is Growth, Gains, and Good News. It's no secret, we all know in the room, that our community is growing. I was looking at some Census Bureau statistics talking about the projected growth from now to 2064. And allegedly, we have just under 200,000 residents in Williamson County. And the projection is by 2064 for it to be 560,000 residents in our community. So you understand what that means as it relates to schools and roads and services. And so that's really why we have this meeting, because as we grow larger and larger, it's really becoming more difficult to communicate clearly to all of our different stakeholder groups what we're doing, what our work is about, and what's the latest of the things that are happening in the school district. Because communication really is a miracle, right? I mean, it truly is. In fact, I went to Chick-fil-A this morning for breakfast. And I always go there and I get me a diet lemonade. But I didn't get a diet lemonade this morning. I got a Diet Coke. And I looked her right in the eye and said, I want a diet lemonade. So if I can't get that piece of communication right between one person and another, then obviously it's going to be a challenge to communicate with the 200,000 residents in Williamson County. So I need for you to listen to this information and to help share the information with the broader community, because we do have a lot of things happening in Williamson County schools that are important for us all to know. So with that being said, I hope that you will use the Twitter hashtag #OurWCS for today's presentation. Any kind of comments, any notes, any celebrations, any alarm bells, any criticisms of anybody but me would be perfectly fine. I always say if it happened and you don't like it, it's Jason Golden's fault. Right. He's the guy you can barely see in the room. So, hashtag RWCS. So, as I always do with all of the presentations I do, I'm going to start by giving you my contact information. First is my email address. Please write that down if you don't already have it. I've listed my personal cell phone number. I do Uber rides late in the evening, particularly on New Year's Eve if you happen to need that. I don't charge, actually. I'm a free Uber. I might drop you off at the Skydive Center along the way. And then obviously my Twitter feed is WCSDIR of schools. One of the things that the staff and I pride ourselves on is being available to you, our constituents, or the families that we serve, to answer your questions, to address concerns, and to celebrate your children's successes. It's amazing to me how many people actually come to the central office to talk about their children's successes and not just the gripes. And so please share your stories of success and those challenges that you might face in our schools. I also want to share with you how to get in touch with school district staff and how to stay informed with district happenings. So obviously you can Google us. Everybody understands Google these days. Our telephone number is listed, our Twitter feed, and finally, yes, Carol Birdsong finally broke down and let us get on Facebook. I think it had something to do with snow, I'm not sure. So, our contact information for the school district. I have recognized several of our school board members. Several of them couldn't be here today, but they did call me or email me or text me sending their regrets. So please just make note of the 12 school board members that we have serving the district. Our newest school board member was appointed by the county commission, a familiar face to the district. Eric Welch is returning as an appointed school board member. And then obviously the page on the left-hand side is if you are unable to call me or if you have a question, 9 times out of 10, the information you're seeking is available directly on our website. So please use our website as a resource. Many other districts across the state use our website to get information, and so I would encourage our families and our community members to do that as well. Pay particular attention to the rumor mill section of our website and in focus. It has some really good stuff. This is how to get in touch with us by Facebook and that URL. This is our Twitter feed. So please use all those mechanisms to get in touch with us. For those of you that are parents, I've experienced a phenomenon here related to snow days. When we make a telephone call through our automated telephone system, it takes about 20 minutes for that phone call system to cycle through all the numbers and then to decide which numbers didn't answer and to repeat the process. But we can post it on Twitter and Facebook, and it will spread like a virus in nobody's business. So the truth of it is, if you want just-in-time information, follow us on Facebook or Twitter, because the information is going to be there before you get a call. So I want to talk about the growth that we're experiencing, because we've had a lot of chatter in our school community about growth. In fact, the county commission has been struggling with how are we going to pay for all these schools, for all these new students that are coming to Williamson County schools. And so I wanted to share with you our projections all the way through the next 10 years. This is what we anticipate having as it relates to student enrollment. You can see on the bottom right-hand side right here, I have listed the student enrollment as of last Friday was 39,342 students in P through 12. Many of you may or may not know that we actually serve preschool students, early childhood students, and those students take seats and require adult supervision as well. So you can see that we're going to go from the high 30s within the next 10 years to 57,000 plus students. It's kind of mind-boggling. Gary, I don't know if you'll still be on the board at that time or not, but if you are, you'll be able to stand up here and say that you've increased by 50,000 students. It's my hope that you're still on the board by then. So what does that really mean? Well, students means more infrastructure is required. And you're going to hear a lot of public discourse in the next several months about school construction, about debt, about locations of schools, and about how we deal with that growth. So the reality of it is, I have provided you a chart that breaks down over the course of the next 10 years how many elementary school students we project to have, how many middle school students we project to have. Tim, can you make that go away? How many high school students we project to have, and then the bigger picture is how many more schools do we need to have. The school board recently changed the maximum allowable size of buildings that we are allowed to build under their authorization from, at the high school level, 1,800 to now 2,200, and the middle school up to as high as 1,650 students. And so with that in mind, we project that we're going to need between 17 and 21 new school buildings in the next 10 years. That's, if I do the math right in my head, that's about 1.7 or 1.8 school buildings per year that we have to construct. I don't know about you, but that makes me nervous. So all told, we're expecting to spend about $600 million on new school construction in the next 10 years. And if you look at the construction cycle, most of that is front-end loaded in the 10-year cycle in the first 6 of the 10 years, because that's the growth pattern that we're anticipating. So I wanted to kind of give you an update because it's important for you to get it firsthand, I think, about the construction projects that we have ongoing. There's always questions about, is this one on schedule? Is it in budget? When is it going to open? So I thought I would just spend a few moments talking about the projects that are underway. First, the school board has finally named, I shouldn't say finally, the school board has named the new school off Kreitz Lane, the elementary and the middle school. The official name of that new complex is Thompson Station Elementary and Middle School. That is a picture that's about 2 weeks old. You can see it stride in. I will say that it is on schedule, and it's scheduled to open in April of 2018. So when school starts next year, this school will be in operation. We expect our new staff members to be able to move in late spring, sometime after the assessment process. It is the exact same model as the Mill Creek Elementary and Mill Creek Middle School model. So if you've been in that building, you kind of know what to expect. That is our new design for the K-8 complex that we will repeat several times over and over just to save money. Next, I want to turn my attention to Page. There's been a lot of discussion about Page, and it's important for you to know that the county commission is in the process of determining whether or not they have enough funding to fund those projects in the timeline that we have requested. This past Monday night, the Education Committee of the County Commission approved unanimously the funding for phase 1 of those projects, which we're really, really excited about. It will now go to the Budget Committee, which is this coming up Monday, and then finally to the full commission. I will tell you that I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll get the funding. The commissioners that I have spoken to have expressed a desire and a willingness to move forward on those projects, albeit that they haven't determined what the most viable funding source for that project is. So they have some work to do there. But I wanted to kind of tell you what we're doing there, just in case you're not part of the Page community. So we've shifted our mindset a little bit. We're going to start building 3-story buildings instead of 2-story buildings. So Brentwood is going to have a 3-story complex. So too is Page Middle and Page High School. So the drawing that you see in the top left-hand side is an artist's rendering of what the new Page Middle School facade is going to look like after phase 1 is complete. You can see it's a complete redesign of that very old 1-story structure that we currently have. In addition, this rendering to the right-hand side right here, do I have a pointer here, Tim? I think I do. This area right here, this is the new wing that you see right here, where there's going to be a new canopy and front entranceway and a new 1.5-story office complex that will take over the first part, the front of the building. And then we're going to be redoing the parking, parent parking and bus drop-off in the front of the school to get some of the congestion that you're experiencing off Arno Road. I might mention that we are also going to find a solution for the middle school students to get to the high school that are taking advanced classes back and forth, and it will most likely be an underground tunnel, and we will do that concurrent to the Arno Road expansion project that the county is pursuing. And then to the right-hand side, this is phase 1 of the Page High School master plan, which includes an artificial turf surface, an expansion from 6-lane track to an 8-lane track so they can handle regional meets, a redoing of the parking structure for students and guests in the front of the school, and the addition of a loop road to get more students off of Arno Road in the morning. This loop road right here will be connected parallel to the road going into Page Middle School. So you should see a lot of improvement in the traffic flow at the Page campus moving forward. Both of these projects, the middle school project and the high school project, are multiple phase projects so that the county commission can choose to fund portions of it along the way as they identify revenue sources to allow for the continued renovation. We believe firmly as a school board and administration that it's important that we continue to renovate existing buildings, not just add new buildings because of student growth, but also revisit existing buildings and make sure they're refreshed and can handle the changing philosophy in education. As an example, RTI was mentioned earlier. How do you build a structure that allows for that kind of space and those kinds of programs to exist in a building that has just traditional classrooms? The fire marshal has a tendency not to like us working in the hallways. So this is Heritage Middle School Theater. As you know, we are beginning the second to the last phase of our theater projects, thanks to the school board's insistence that we move forward with that. Thank you, school board members, and thanks to the county commission's funding. County commissioner, since you are here, I will just tell you, we're coming right back to you. We're going to still fight about the theater projects that haven't been funded, specifically Sunset Middle School and Grassland Middle School. So wear your tennis shoes and your boxing gloves, and we'll talk about it. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the new 3-story building, the STEM building at Brentwood High and Brentwood Middle School. This is a rendering of it. That project is actually at the fire marshal right now. This is very similar to what it's going to look like. I will tell you, I'm really excited about something. We have been talking to a 4-year university about the possibility of them equipping the entire science section of this building with all the latest and greatest science equipment, and them providing visiting professors as part of the curriculum that we offer. So I'm really excited about what's going to happen at the STEM building at Brentwood High and Brentwood Middle School. I believe our students are going to have access to the latest and greatest technology in the STEM field and be able to compete with students from anywhere around the globe, not just here in Tennessee. Once again, this is a 3-story building. There is one little cool feature that I'll point out, which is not particularly notable, but right here, this lit section, that is actually a tunnel. And that tunnel is going to flow completely through the building, an open tunnel, straight onto the football field. So if you kind of think of a college football team running out of a cave or some sort of dwelling, that's what it's going to be like for the Brentwood High School Bruins. I probably shouldn't have said cave, but. And then Franklin High School, I don't want to omit you. Obviously, we've had a long, windy road about the renovation project there. We have received funding from the County Commission. Thank you so much, Commissioner Sturgeon and Mr. Hollett, for your funding on this. We expect to open those additional classrooms in January of this next school year, phase 1. We are in the design phase for the second phase, which is the high bay industrial space. And then obviously they're going to be getting some athletic improvements as well, including an 8-lane track instead of a 6-lane track. Page and Franklin High School are the last 2 schools in our district that don't have an 8-lane track, so they can't host regional track meets. And as you know, our school district has a motto of academics, athletics, and arts, all 3 of those things being important to our community, and so we're emphasizing all 3 of those in our programming, but also in our capital investment dollars to make sure that we're expanding those services to our students and to our families. And then the other school that we have officially underway now has also been named. As you probably have read in the media, it's been named after the only Medal of Honor winner in the history of Williamson County. It happened to be an African-American person that survived slavery and went on to serve our country. And Jordan Elementary School is going to be the name of that school, named after Sergeant Jordan. So we're excited about that. That project is on schedule and in budget currently, and going to be located right off of Split Log Road. I will add that in our plan, there's a middle school going to go on that same site, but we're building the elementary school at this time. So I've talked about the hyper growth that we've had. We're growing by thousands and thousands of students. It seems like almost every year. Has anybody been down Carruthers Corridor in the last month? I feel like I'm on that show where the submarine comes up, the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. This city has popped up out of the dirt from nowhere. Thousands of homes. It's unbelievable. And so obviously we've talked about the growth that we're experiencing, and we're going to accommodate those students with great facilities. I will tell you, though, we also have to hire great teachers and great staff members and more bus drivers and more workers. So we need for you to be our recruiter as well, okay? So please help us recruit very, very talented staff members. So I want to talk a little bit about academics, athletics, and the arts. I'm going to focus mostly on academics because those are the charts that I was able to get prepared in time for this presentation. But I want you to know we're making tremendous gains in the arts and athletics as well. As an example, $14 million of scholarships came in last year just for athletics. In fact, I noticed that members of the chamber are here in the audience. You'll remember the high school that we visited in Colorado. Their entire school's scholarship awarding for last year was $14 million. And in our district, as you know, the number's higher, but our scholarships just for our athletes, 108 athletes earned college scholarships to play ball at the next level, and it was $14 million, equal to that very high-performing school in Denver. So let's talk about the hyper gains that we've had. So this first chart is the end of course exams that our high school students take, and the light colors are the state's average, the state's average number of students percent proficient, and the darker colors are Williamson counties. So I will say the state continues to make good progress, so too does our county. In fact, I'll share with you, I sent some communication to the commissioner. Our school district is doing very well on these type of exams. So too are a lot of other districts, so they're doing really well. And then we have the opposite of that happening in the state of Tennessee. We have the two extremes well represented, the 5s and the 1s, and the middle one's not so well represented. But we should be very, very proud of this. I do want to give you a disclosure, though, and I own this, and the commissioner knows this. 2 years ago, we didn't have a particularly good testing experience, and I communicated to our students that perhaps we shouldn't take the exam. So I will say that I think that at least in some part, my communication to the students ended up impeding or at least squashing some of the results that we had been accustomed to. So I think you're seeing some recovery of that this year. And I'll try not to do that again. I had one of those Looney moments. You're familiar with them. This is our growth score, so I'll stick with this number first. So the state gives schools and school districts a growth score from 1 to 5, 5 being awesome, 1 being you might want to look for another job coach. And so you can see that our overall composite is a 5 as a school district. There has been a lot of conversation in our community, at least in the 9 years that I've been here, about is it harder to move students that are on the top side of the bell curve, and we've had arguments back and forth about it. At the end of the day, this is what we should all relish. Our kids are doing really, really well, and we have a lot of reasons to be proud. At the same time, we have some students, and quite frankly, some teachers in some classrooms that aren't doing as well as we need them to do, and we're having conversations with those individuals in those schools as well. As an example, you can see that in social studies, we didn't do as well as we would like to have done, but we will continue that improvement process. I often tweet that I've turned my attention away from EOCs and TN Ready because we're focusing on other things. And so this is one of the areas that we've been focusing on. And you know this because I've presented this data for the last 9 years now. We have more students enrolled in AP classes than in the history of this district. We have more students taking AP exams than than at any point in time in the past. We have more students passing AP exams than ever before. There are districts across the state and nation that don't even track this information. But this is critical. This is a critical piece to our success story, and here's why. I think we would all uniformly agree that the more we expose our students to rigorous curriculum, the higher the likelihood of them being successful post-high school, whether it's career or whether it's work. Doesn't make a difference, or I'm sorry, career or college. They both are going to help them. So our students are taking the more rigorous, more challenging courses, and we should all be proud of that. Now, some of the pushback that we get is, I'm not sure my child can do that work, it's too much work, or they have more homework. And I will tell you, as your superintendent, push them into those classes, they're gonna benefit. It's better for them to make a C in that class than for them to make an A in a standard class or an honors class. You have to be willing to accept. And I know that we're in Williamson County and everybody wants to get a gold ribbon and everybody wants to be first, but I will tell you, your children will be better off if they earn a C in the AP class than if they earn an A in a standard class. They will have learned more content, they would have stretched their mind, and they're learning much more. So please help us with that. We will continue to make this growth. In fact, if you look at this year's numbers, the 2017-18 year numbers, I can already tell you that the trend line continues to go up. Now, I will say that we're facing some downward pressure as a result of some changes in state rule. As an example, more focus on dual enrollment classes and dual credit classes. That does have an impact on our AP numbers, but we're hopefully going to find a good balancing spot where we can meet the needs of all of those students. So, ACT scores have not officially been released by the state, but they have been released by ACT. And there's been a shift in how we calculate ACT. I reported this to you last year. So if we continue to report ACT as we have in the past, which is we only report the student's last ACT score, not their best ACT score. And as you know, many of our students take the ACT multiple times. In fact, we help them pay for it oftentimes. So if we report just the last test that they took, then we're sitting at a 24.6. However, our projections tell us, based on the way that the state now calculates ACT, which is their best score, our ACT score should be at a 25.2. So I don't know about y'all, but I want to tell you in real life what that means. And I'm going to pause for a second because I want this to sink in. I want to treasure this moment. I want you to get goosebumps like I've got them. More moms and dads don't have to pay for their kids to go to college. More moms and dads can use that money elsewhere. They can recirculate that money here in Williamson County to help improve the economy. More kids are going to have access to college because we've been intentionally focusing on ACT scores and getting them scholarships. 80%, think of this, ladies and gentlemen, 80% of the boys and girls that graduate Williamson County walk away with college scholarship money in hand. 80%. 8 out of every 10 kids that walk away from here walk away with college scholarship money in hand. Is that not incredible? Check your skin. Do you have goosebumps? I do. 79% of our students scored a 21 or higher. This year, we're expecting it to be 79.5. Our graduation rate increased by 1/10 of a point. We talked one additional kid into staying in high school instead of dropping out. And I will tell you what, you may not know this, but we actually have a rule. A student cannot drop out of a school in Williamson County without coming to see the superintendent first. And when they come in, I get all of these smart people right here, and I say, what are y'all going to do to fix this? Because they can't drop out. And they come up with solutions every time. So our success rate at saving someone from dropping out of school is absolutely incredible. And it's because of the work of the central office staff members pulling together and focusing on individual students rather than policies and rules and regulations. I'm particularly proud of that. So I wanted to give you some context. When the board first hired me in December of 2009, they looked me in the eye and said, you got to get our ACT scores to a 24 or you're fired. I got that message loud and clear. They also told me never mention year-round schooling, which I haven't. So let's don't start today. So this is what we've done. Same ACT scores for the last, or same ACT test essentially for the last number of years. You can see what we've done. Our ACT scores are rocking it. Our kids continue to make progress. And we haven't gamed the system. A vast, vast, vast majority of our students take the ACT as is required by the state. However, there are some districts whose ACT participation rate is much, much lower than ours. I'm not calling them out. I'm just saying we should be proud of the fact that we have followed the rules and our kids have still made tremendous progress. So the board said, Mike, go out and get a 24. Well, we did it. I didn't do it. I didn't teach a single class. But our folks did. So this year, we're projecting, this is not official yet, but our calculation is based on the fabulous Kevin Deck. Kevin, are you in the room? He's probably crunching numbers somewhere. Kevin Deck tells us our scores are going to be at a 25.2. So board members, when you review my contract next month, we didn't think a 24 was possible. We're at 25.2. And I don't even want a raise. I want them to have a raise. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. That is incredible. That is incredible. Absolutely stunning. So, the bottom line is, we have hyper growth. More kids are coming to Williamson County Schools than ever before at an accelerated rate. Our academic achievement gains, our athletic gains, our participation in the arts are in hyper gain mode. But you know what? We have to ask ourselves, is that what's really important? Is it really about these numbers? Now, I agree, it increases your home value. I get it. But we're not in the numbers business, ladies and gentlemen. We're in the people business. We're about individual students. We're about changing individual lives. So, with that, I want to talk about some of the hyper gains. I'm sorry, hyper good news things that we have. Carol Birdsong, how many National Merit Scholarships do we have this year? 42. Unreal. Last year's graduating cohort, get this. Last year's graduating cohort, the seniors that just graduated, earned $170 million in college scholarships. $170 million. I think that makes 2 Donald Trumps. Unreal success. This year, we're focusing on one thing. We're going to reach the $1 billion scholarship threshold. At the end of this academic year, our students, since 2009, will have surpassed $1 billion in college scholarship goals. We have so many things that our students that are absolutely incredible. And they're incredible because we have people like you supporting our school system. We have commissioners that step up to the plate and provide us with the necessary resources, even when it's hard. We have school board members that hold me and the staff accountable for the results and are responsive to the community. And we have great, great kiddos. So with that being said, I'd like to ask Commissioner McQueen to come up because this is about individual students. So she's going to share good news about individual kids, and it's much more powerful if it comes from a very important person rather than the superintendent. So with that being said, Your Honor, thank you so much for being here.
Well, I do have an exciting announcement, but before I do that, I do want to confirm that the ACT of 25.2, we have confirmed internally that that is going to be your ACT rate for this year. So congratulations. I want to say congratulations to the school board members who are here and certainly the administrative staff and principals who I see in the room and educators. This is a testament to the work that you've done. That is incredible, incredible in terms of gain over a period of essentially a year. To get a 1/10 of a point gain as a system is remarkable, and for you to have moved all the way to the 25.2 is really stunning, and we appreciate the work that you're doing. Before I tell you some good news about the two people that you see on the screen, I want to say how fortunate you are as a district to have a vision that's well spelled out in your strategic plan, to have leadership amongst not only Dr. Looney, but at all levels, who are pulling in the same direction toward ensuring that your students have success when they leave their graduation moment. That graduation day isn't, the last day of their life. It's the beginning of this remarkable future that you have set them up for. So thank you for being here to celebrate that and for actually taking a moment. I appreciate Dr. Looney taking a moment to step back and say thank you and to celebrate the great work that you're doing collectively. But I do have some good news. The good news is that you in Williamson County have the only two state AP scholars that we will be announcing, and those two folks are on the screen. They're actually both from Brentwood High School. You probably know who they are. One is Harry Westbrook, and the other is Shirley Kai. They're both in college now, so unfortunately they couldn't be here. I'm sure they're in class, but wanted to tell you what that means. This means that these two individuals had the most AP scores above the 3 statewide, and the highest score on all of their AP exams statewide. There are only 2 individuals every year that are noted as state AP scholars. They pick 1 male and 1 female, and you happen to have both of them from Brentwood High School. So let's give them a hand. We are mailing them official certificates. We thought we might show up at college, but we couldn't pay for travel to do that. But we do want to tell you congratulations and to celebrate with you and appreciate the good work that you're doing. The state's had remarkable gains, and I'll tell you one of the reasons why. It's because of a district like Williamson County that's really leading the way and showing what's possible with all of our students. So keep up the good work. It ultimately will result in all of us being more successful as a state. Thank you very much.